Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to another Going Rounds podcast, episode number 32. We're back at this shit again. There I go, cussing right away. Whoops. That's okay. Who cares? I'm not monetized anyway, but when and if I do, I gotta watch that in the beginning. So, whatever. Right now, who gives a shit, right? So, as you can see, I'm wearing my U of A hat, which is a goddamn shame about them one and doneing the March Madness tournament. So yeah, good job, fuckers. That shit sucks, man. I cannot believe that right away off the bat, just done to the number 15 seed, Princeton. Like, what the fuck? Did you even try? 59-55, I think it was. Whatever. It sucks, but it is what it is, and sports are annoying. I stopped giving too much of a shit when I was getting into arguments with people and getting all butthurt about things. I'm over that. I'm tired of it. I still get into arguments with people sometimes that just don't know how to shut up. But, for the most part, I let it go because it's stupid and it gets annoying and it's just a waste of time. Like, yeah, I want my teams to win. All the teams I root for, basketball, football, baseball, whatever it is, I want them to win, but I don't care that much because, yeah, it just it gets to be so exhausting that I just can't handle it. And I've got too many other things that I worry about, really. So when it comes down to it, I just leave it alone. And and I say, well, that sucks. It's a damn shame. Throw your hands up. What can you do? I see everybody posting on Facebook and I'm like, yeah, nobody needs my input too. It just sucks. Plain and simple. Everybody feels the same way. Some people like to talk shit. Some people like to place blame. Some people like to make excuses. And some people just say, fuck, we suck. So that's what happens. Anyway, I'm still repping the hometown team because it's a hard loss and it sucks, but still gotta root for the hometown. And I don't do that with any other sports really. Baseball, I got the Braves, football is the Colts. I don't really follow NBA very much. Stuff like that. But the U of A is something I've always followed and I'll keep following. So yeah, anyway. What's up, everybody? How's it going? If you're here, checking it out, the chat's open. Hit me up, say what's up, ask a question, whatever you want to do, and share the video and get other people to come in and check it out live, or maybe they'll see it and check it out later. And otherwise, just sit back and enjoy because we got a lot to talk about. There's a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Big pay-per-view. We just got done with a big pay-per-view 2 weeks ago. But the UFC is doing it big right now. I don't really know why. I don't know what's up with the schedule these past few months, or this block of months, I should say. Because 2 weeks ago we had a pay-per-view. We have a pay-per-view this weekend, and then we have a pay-per-view again in 2 weeks after this. So it's like a month and a half, 3 pay-per-views. It's kind of nuts. Usually it's one in a month and that's it. This month has made it kind of crazy. It's two pay-per-views this month. So the UFC Fight Night 221 in Vegas last week was a pretty good card. We're going to go over that here in a bit. And then there's some other news going on. Recap Bellator a little bit because between Bellator and the UFC last week, there's a couple retirements of some big names, so we'll get into that. And yeah, I'm on my new laptop, which is pretty dope. Finally got it all set up. I mean, last week was just insane when it came to between stuff happening at work and me trying to get this laptop set up. I had an issue, technical issues like a motherfucker with all kinds of stuff, including I got a a new watch because my other watch was just old, falling apart, getting slow, and it's just old, like 3 years old plus maybe. But yeah, I had this whole ordeal. I went through 3 watches, man. 3 fucking watches. I initially wanted the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro Golf Edition because I play golf a lot. And that's my old watch was the Golf Edition, so it has a built-in caddy type rangefinder thing. So anyway, I ordered that from Samsung and it just wouldn't send me any notifications. I couldn't get any calls on it. So I called for tech support, which I hate doing. Usually I can figure this shit out, right? Watching videos, looking at forums, just using my technical insight that I have from work and stuff, but couldn't get anything to work. So I called for tech support and they tell me pretty much that they don't have any tech support besides the surface level, by the book troubleshooting, which is a bunch of bullshit because I had already done all of it 4 times over. So I'm like, okay, cool. Get me to somebody else that knows more. And they're like, no, we don't do that anymore. We don't have that level of technical support anymore. If all this doesn't work, you have to send it back. I'm like, send it back? The fuck is this? Okay, well, so I sent it back, got my refund, waited a little while, and then I found a deal on Verizon. So I decided, okay, I'll get, maybe I'll have better luck with the Verizon one and get a line on for my watch so then it can work whether I'm around my phone or not. Doesn't work again. No notifications, no calls, nothing, right? So same shit over. Go to the Verizon store, try to get help. Had 2 people work on it. None of them could figure it out. Spent way too much time on this shit. My life was in disarray over this, right? Sounds stupid and petty, but I rely on it a lot. I use it a lot for work, and I use it a lot in general. So, and that's how I can respond to calls and text messages at work quickly. So, yeah, it was bad. So anyway, they tell me all we could do is send it back. So I send it back again, and they send me another one. Same shit again. Go back, have them work on it. Nothing. Can't figure it out. Well, with a little help from my guys at work and just some poking around, my wife helped me a little bit because she was trying stuff because she has the regular Watch 5, not the Pro. So she has an idea of what's going on with it. So yeah, we figured some shit out. Finally, we figured out that my tattoos are the reason why my fucking watch wouldn't work. I thought it was just because I was brown and the fucking watch is racist, but apparently it's just discriminates against people with tattoos. So whatever. I got it to work, needless to say. I finally found some videos. Once I went down the right avenue and figured out what to look for, I found videos, I found fixes, but nobody can explain it. It's just a bunch of bullshit. And before anybody gives me shit about it being an Android, I've heard the same problem is happening with Apple Watches. So shut up with your judginess and your bullshit, because I don't care. So anyway, that's my, oh man, my lights are doing that bullshit again. I think it looked like it in the screen. So if you see the lights pulsating a little bit, just ignore it. I don't know why. It doesn't like red. It's weird. Anyway, yeah, so that's my crazy, Jesus, that's going to drive me nuts. That's my crazy technical bullshit for the week. Finally, it's all over. The watch is working. I'm back to normal. I got the laptop set up. Everything seems to be running great. I'm not having any issues with CPU usage and none of that. So I don't have to worry about opening like web pages and websites and stuff like that while I'm streaming because my other computer just didn't like it. So yeah, I upgraded. Got a gaming laptop. It's pretty cool. Not using it for gaming, but it's good to have that good graphics card and all that. So I'm pretty happy about that. And now we're into this week where, yeah, this week has been kind of nuts just getting ready because I'm going to Vegas this weekend. My wife's birthday is on Monday. So we're going to go celebrate and just have a good time. We don't do Vegas like we used to. It's not just about partying. I mean, of course, we have a drink in our hand most of the time, but we like to go try out new restaurants, check out the sites, sit at some slot machines and gamble a little and just hang out and have a good time. It's not about anything else but relaxing, getting away from the real world with work and everything else. And yeah, celebrating her and her birthday. So it's going to be fun. So I'm not going to be here to watch the fights, but the fights are on early because they are taking place in London. So I might have to change the color of those lights because that's going to just distract the hell out of me. I don't see it. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so they're in London. They're early in the afternoon. So be ready for that because everybody that thinks that 7 o'clock is going to be the time to sit down and try to watch them, it's not. It's going to be earlier. So I'm going to have to take a look. Actually, I can look it up right now and see what time it says. I need to know for myself as well because I am going to be watching on my phone more than likely. I know that sounds kind of fucked up because I'm supposed to be hanging out for my wife's birthday, but you know what? She knows I am. I'll have it on in the background if nothing else. And taking a peek here and there. So it says for me here in Arizona. Oh, does it, Trin? Okay. I keep seeing like the lights flashing behind me. I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of weird thing, but that works. Thanks for the input, Trin. That's my daughter on the chat supporting me, so she's awesome. Yeah, so 2 p.m. for the main card, the start of the main card. So that puts us at like probably about 4:30 for the main event, more than likely, depending on how fast the rest of the fights go. So remember that. I'll remind you later again when I am going over the fights. So yeah, let's get into it. Like I said, I got a lot to cover. Let's see. I am burning up all of a sudden. Probably because I just took my first sip before we started here. And it's hitting me. Not hitting me like I'm feeling it, but like, that alcohol hits the stream and then all of a sudden you get a little rush. Yeah, so let's get into it. Let's go into some overall combat sports news. And we'll start off with Bellator 292. A little recap. We had a lightweight title fight against, with Usman Nurmagomedov, which, yes, he is Khabib's cousin, versus Benson Henderson, the MMA veteran, been in the UFC, was a UFC champ, and, yeah, he's getting up there in age and stuff, and unfortunately, it's his time. He just can't hang with the younger guys and the new talent that's coming out. And Nurmagomedov, well, his name says it all. He's a badass. He's a beast, and he's got a lot of talent, and he's got a lot of striking talent. And that coupled with the Nurmagomedov grappling, it's unstoppable right now. And Usman being a lightweight in Bellator, I would say could probably hang with any lightweight, including the champ in the UFC right now. And I would love to see that fight. So maybe one day he will make it over to the UFC. But for now, he's going to stick to being the Bellator champion. And he's doing big things. So, yeah. And then we had Michael Venom Page. We'll start with that. Fighting Gaethje Yamauchi. So pay attention to that kick. It will come back. But as you can see, he went down off just one kick. Look at that kneecap. Look what happens. Bam. Kneecap gone. That's pretty nasty. And the crazy shit is this is something that happens with Michael Venom Page a lot. Well, if you watched last week, I was going over it and previewing it, and I was telling you about him throwing that flying knee and crushing the front of Cyborg's skull. And this is the male Cyborg, by the way. But yeah, he always does these crazy. He always has something crazy happen when he's fighting, and he gets those finishes and he hurts people. And it's kind of weird because normally we've seen people get their leg broken, their shin broken in half when they kick somebody like that in, like, directly on the knee. So for him to have busted Yamaushi's knee like that with his kick, and I mean, MVP has some twigs for legs, as you can tell. He's kind of built like Anderson Silva a bit, kind of a mix between Silva and maybe John Jones when he was lighter. But yeah, so that was a nasty stoppage right there. Obviously, he gets the win. TKO, injury, right? There's not much he can do. He almost bent his leg the wrong way, falling to the ground. So that could be a career-changing injury. Like, he pretty much either broke, displaced, I don't know what you would call it, but he fucked up his knee and his kneecap, and that's insane. So MVP with the win, looking dominant as usual, coming off that loss in BKFC to Michael Perry. So, you know, needless to say, I think MVP is super dangerous when he can kick. I mean, he's lost in MMA before, but obviously you add in those kicks and knees and flying whatevers you want to call, he's gonna try, and he's dangerous as fuck. And you could see it. I mean, it speaks for itself. Yeah. So let's move on. Benson Henderson versus Usman Nurmagomedov. I'm getting all twisted up here. He is, like I said, he's pretty dominant. He's got striking as well as the grappling and wrestling. So, I mean, he's pretty fucking dangerous. One thing I want to point out here, I hate the white Bellator gloves, and I don't know why. I just don't like them. I don't know. The white is so off-putting. Like, they usually have red, I think red gloves. I think they've done blue gloves, but I like the red. The red is nice because, you know, Bellator, their color schemes are kind of red, you know. That's pretty much what they use for the most part. And I mean, this is confusing. Usman has white shorts on. Benson Henderson has his typical white shorts with the like printed black belt on it, which is kind of cool. I do like those shorts. But they're both wearing white shorts, and then they're both wearing white gloves. And it's like the only thing you can kind of tell them apart is that the tape on the gloves are red and blue. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But anyway, as you can see, Nurmagomedov was getting the best of Benson. Unfortunately, I mean, I like Benson Henderson a lot, but like I said, it's just that time. I think he's been in too many fights, and he's just not able to keep up anymore like he used to. So Nurmagomedov got him down to the ground, wrapped him up, and got that submission in. And unfortunately, Benson Henderson got the loss in his last title defense because he did retire. So he put his gloves down in the cage. He said it was his time. He said it's time for him to let his wife do her thing, take the spotlight. She's a fighter as well, I believe. I think she's fighting now. But either way, he said he was done and he needed to, stay home with his kids, watch them, help them grow, and not miss those times anymore. And I'm sure he'll be, taking some kind of maybe coaching role or corner man or something like that. There's no way he's going to stay away completely from MMA. But yeah, as for now, he's done. And, all I got to say is Benson Henderson was one of the guys that I followed from the beginning when he's in the WEC. And, he kind of got famous or better known from the fight with Showtime Pettis in WEC. The last WEC fight ever before they got kind of nullified by the UFC. They got bought out and absorbed their fighters and got rid of the promotion. So and WEC, it's World Extreme Cage Fighting, and it was a lot of the lighter weight guys. That's the UFC didn't have the really lightweights like bantamweight and flyweight and stuff. They didn't have that, and they didn't have that kind of stuff before. So the WEC had those guys, and when the UFC decided to bring those weight classes in, they absorbed their talent, and which was a good thing. They got people like Donald Cerrone, Jose Aldo, Benson Henderson, Anthony Pettis, all kinds of big names came over from WEC. So yeah, anyway, I've followed him for so long, and my wife liked him a lot too. He was one of her favorite fighters. He's just a good dude. He's a really good, humble guy, and I just always liked him as a fighter and as a person. So good luck, Benson, man. It's good to see you go out, not completely out cold, getting knocked out like most of the guys do. Yeah, he got submitted. Yeah, he kind of got dominated, but you pretty much didn't get all kinds of damage, and I'm happy about that. And he still looks, in great shape, and like his head is good. So I'm happy he's getting out before it gets bad. So yeah, good luck, Benson, on everything, and thanks for all the good memories and the good fights. I always like to throw it out there and just remember the good stuff about these guys that retire, because they lived a hard life of weight cutting and training. They dedicate their life to this shit. So if nothing else, I can show my gratitude for the history and all the memories and all the great fights that we watched. So yeah, moving on. So tomorrow night there was supposed to be a bare knuckle fighting championship event with former Bellator featherweight champ Daniel Strauss, who was just a champ like I think like a couple years ago at the most. But yeah, and I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of other names on this card, but I thought it was cool. It's gonna be a nice St. Patrick's Day card, and with Daniel Strauss on there, that's a big name. Fighting Wen. I don't really know his first name. I don't know much about him, but I was excited to see what Daniel Strauss was going to do in the BKFC. But unfortunately, today I found out it got canceled. It says, due to unforeseen circumstances outside of BKFC's control regarding the venue, the sold-out BKFC 38 in Delray Beach, Florida, which was scheduled for March 17, 2023, has unfortunately been postponed. The event and fight card has been rescheduled for April 21st, 2023. So that's good. At least they rescheduled it already. I assume they're going to acquire a venue at some point. They got some time. So, yeah, they already have a scheduled date, which means these guys know when they're going to fight next. Sucks they don't get to fight now when they're prepped and ready, but it is what it is. All I heard from on Instagram, the BKFC owner just said it was out of his control. Something to do with the venue. Maybe they found, unsafe, conditions, or I don't know. Who knows what happened? But yeah, the rest of it just talks about tickets purchased, will be honored for the new date. So yeah, all that good stuff. Technical stuff that we don't need to worry about. But anyway, yeah, so that kind of sucks. I was going to bring it up anyway, like I said, because I was interested in the Daniel Strauss fight. So, unfortunately, it is canceled. So, if you were looking forward to watching that, it won't be on. If you can't find it, it's because it's canceled. Anyway, moving on to other big news. The notorious Conor McGregor back in the news. As he always is, kinda, because something's always coming up about Conor. And he was on the MMA Hour on yesterday. I guess he was kind of on a press tour, and he made a stop in at the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani. And I guess it was up in the air whether he was going to make it or not, but he was in New York, so I guess he made it in, which is kind of cool because, we haven't seen Conor on the MMA Hour in quite a while since he's gotten real big. But I remember watching him when he was just starting out. He didn't have a lot of money, sitting in a just old room with like a mattress on the ground, and looking like he didn't have much, just eating some blueberries. That was the first time I got introduced to Conor McGregor, and got to listen to him get interviewed by Ariel Helwani. And yeah, it's kind of crazy to see where he's at now. Obviously, he's a multi-millionaire or billionaire. Who the hell knows anymore? All I know is he's rich as fuck. So that's, he's an entrepreneur. So, he's got all kinds of other ventures besides MMA. But yeah, he was on the show and he was talking about the Ultimate Fighter. Obviously, he's coaching against Michael Chandler. And I'm pretty excited to watch that. I guess they just wrapped it up. So I think they said it in April is when the show's gonna start airing. April, May. Yeah, I think so. Or maybe a little later. I don't remember. But either way, I guess the show just wrapped up. And so Conor was doing the media tour. And he was saying that, there was some shit that popped off, but he said everything's good and whatever. Dana talked about it in a press conference, but either way, the biggest thing that came out of this, besides the fact that he said no matter what, at some point in time, he's getting that Nate Diaz trilogy. He said it has to happen because they're 1-1, and Diaz beat him the first time, he beat him the second, so he says they have to have the rubber match. So I don't know how that's going to happen when Diaz isn't in the UFC, but I assume they're going to probably offer him a fuckload of money, and get him in there when the time is right. But for now, he's got his eyes on Michael Chandler, ready for that fight. And then he announced officially that he's fighting at 170 against Chandler, which we all kind of knew. I figured it as much. 170, that's pretty much what I figured they were going to be fighting at, because McGregor's just big now. And Chandler's been talking about doing a 170 fight for a while, and he said he was up for it. So, yeah, that's just, I just got super sidetracked. Sorry. Nah, everything's good. I thought something was messed up. Anyway, yeah, so 170, and man, I lost my train of thought. Oh, the other thing was the USADA stuff. So, I had talked about it before, and it's been all over the place that, oh man, did my music just stop? I talked about it all over the place, and I had talked about it too, that he isn't in the USADA testing pool yet. So I don't know why my music stopped. That sucks. Oh, here we go. Can I get it to start again? There he is. Anyway, he's not in the USADA testing pool yet. So, and you're supposed to have 6 months of testing before you can fight again. So that's a problem, right? And if he's not in there yet, that means it's going to be, I don't know how long before he, oh man, this is getting on my nerves. I don't know how long before he's going to fight. So anyway, here's what he said on the show, though. He said, on re-enrolling in the USADA pool, I'm not rushing nothing. There's hurdles and whatnot, but we're in constant communication, and there's an interview scheduled and a meeting happens, and then it will be official. But the 6 months thing, what they had said was 2 clean tests and off I go. Hold on. Oh man, sorry about that. I was trying to hold it in. Anyway, he said what they had said was 2 clean tests and off I go. So I assume it won't be too long. So what he's saying is he thinks that he's going to have 2 clean tests in a row, and then he's good to go and ready to fight. So I'm assuming he thinks, oh, I can just do that whenever, because I'm under the assumption he's clean, right? But what I had heard and what everyone else is talking about is the fact that you're supposed to have 2 clean tests in a row, as well as 6 months of being available to be tested in the USADA testing pool, which you have to be enrolled for that amount of time. So, with that being said, USADA responded saying, this is Aaron Bronstetter. I believe he's an analyst or reporter of some journalist of some sort for ESPN. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, his tweets, this is where I got this from. USADA have issued a statement regarding the comments made by Conor McGregor yesterday in regards to his eligibility to resume competition. USADA says, while we meet with all athletes who enter or re-enter the testing pool. We do not currently have a meeting set with Conor, and as of today, we have not received notice of him coming out of retirement to compete. The UFC rules are clear that in addition to 2 negative tests, an athlete must make himself available for testing for 6 months before returning to competition. This is a fair way to ensure an athlete does not use the retirement status to gain an unfair advantage by using prohibited substances during the retirement period, which would enhance their performance unfairly if they ultimately decide to return to competition. While the rules permit the UFC to make an exception to the 6-month rule in exceptional circumstances. So there's the fucking kicker right there. They did that with Brock Lesnar. It says, while the rules permit the UFC to make an exception to the 6-month rule in exceptional circumstances, when the strict application of the rule would be manifestly unfair to the athlete, our position, which we have made clear, is that Conor should be in the testing pool for the full 6-month period. But I guarantee that one piece right there is going to be how the UFC gets past this. They're going to say, this is an exception, this is an exceptional circumstance, and, you know, this is what we need to have happen. And then they're going to give him 2 clean tests, and they're going to say, you're done, go for it, you get the pass. That's what they did with Brock Lesnar, and we know that motherfucker was on juice. So whatever, it is what it is. I mean, these fools fucking do whatever they want. I mean, they own USADA basically. USADA works for them. So when it comes down to it, they're gonna do what they want. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. They're gonna do what they want, and that's the way it's gonna be. So they're gonna allow McGregor to fight. There's no way they're not, and that's just how it is. They have it clearly written right there that they can make the exception whenever they want. So, you know, read into it whatever you will, but that's what I believe. They're gonna just do whatever they want. They're gonna let him fight. They're gonna say he dropped twice clean. He's good to go. He's been enrolled. No one was just notified. Blah blah blah. Some bullshit. Whatever. So anyway, stay out the juice, Conor. We want to see you fight. Don't be fucking failing any tests, because we know you've been on that. We know you've been on that shit. So, yeah. Moving on. Recap of last week. Petr Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili. It was a pretty damn good fight, especially because Petr Yan got his ass whooped pretty much. Merab was the machine. That's his nickname, and he fucking showed why he's the machine, because he's a badass. He doesn't stop. He could have gone another 5 rounds, I bet, and he always looks like he just started the fight. So, and Petr Yan he underestimated him. He kept saying he was a zero. He was nobody. Nobody knew who Merab was. Nobody knew or cared about Merab. But yet, I mean, you're the number 2 fighter in your weight class, fighting the number 3 fighter. You think he's number 3 because nobody gives a shit? I mean, he's proven it. Why he's so good. So, and you know, there's the haters out there that think Merab is a boring fighter, Merab this, Merab that. I'm like, fuck off, okay? There's a lot more boring fights out there and boring fighters out there. And to me, I don't know, maybe I am a little biased. I don't know. I just like the dude. I think he's cool. I think he's a good, humble dude, and he's loyal as shit, and he's always talking and giving praise to his teammates and his team and his cornermen and his coaches. And to me, that just makes him a stand-up dude, and I like him. On the flip side, you got Mr. fucking Petr Yan, who is an asshole, doing stupid shit during the weigh-ins, saying dumb shit left and right. And when he's the one that has now dropped 4 out of his last 5 fights, like, get your fucking shit together, bro. Stop talking shit and focus on the fight. Stop talking shit when you can't back it up. And stop focusing on how much everyone else sucks and focus on how much you suck right now. Because he doesn't suck overall. He is a good fighter. But right now he sucks. It's fucking just being a dumbass and sucking. That's all I can really say about that. And he fucking drives me nuts. I don't like him. I think it's because he reminds me of somebody from the past, maybe. I don't know specifically who I'm referring to. I'm just thinking, you know, when you see somebody with a face or a demeanor or mannerisms that remind you of somebody, that's what Petr Yan does to me. He's fucking annoying. He's a little cocky bastard, and I want to kick him in his fucking nuts. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't hate him as much as Sean Strickland or Colby Covington, but he's a close second to those guys. Yeah, so the other retirement I was talking about was Rafael Sunsao, who was a contender for a long time. He was up in always in the top 5, you know, fighting the likes of Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw and everybody that was big, that's been big over the past years. But unfortunately, he called it quits this past weekend. You know, it sounded like he was just done. He said he just wasn't able to compete like he used to, and that's all there was to it. So, once again, you know, I got to pay homage to those guys that retire, whether I like them or not. You know, and Sunsao, you know, I knew him during the time that he was like making all the runs, because he was in all the news all the time, being one of those guys that was there in the running for a belt and a formidable opponent, obviously, being that high in the rankings for that long. So, you know, good fights and a good fighter, and, you know, he's kind of a more quiet dude, didn't cause a lot of waves or whatever, but there's definitely some good fights that he had out there, and I appreciate all of them. So good luck to Rafael Sunsao. Unfortunately, I got to show what happened because it was kind of crazy. So he's doing, I don't know if you saw that, it was quick, but it'll happen again. You know, for some reason, he's throwing the thumbs up, and next thing you know, Davey Grant, who he was fighting, throws a spinning back fist and drops his ass. And if you could see how he winds up, Sunsao has his leg and has his head in between his legs. So that's important because of what happened next. He tried to lift Davey Grant, and Grant just kind of rolled with it and tied up Sunsao's neck in like an inverted triangle. It was kind of crazy, and I don't know if he actually put him to sleep, but he definitely subbed him there, and it was over. And then, you know, Sunsao retired. So, oh man, I need to like turn the air on. It's freaking hot in here. Yeah, so that was how that ended. Unfortunate for Sunsao, you know, but again, at least he didn't get knocked out. If he did go to sleep, it was for a short period of time, and that's kind of how it goes sometimes. It's better to get subbed and not have a limb broken if you do get subbed. It's better to go out that way than to get knocked out cold, lying on the mat, and then you get up just to tell everybody you're done because you just got knocked out, and it's like your third loss in a row or something. That's horrible, and I hate to see you guys go out like that. So at least he got to go out. It's a loss, but it's not a crazy, real bad loss. So good luck to him on whatever he's doing in the future. And, you know, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of these big name guys that are coming up at the end here, ready just to hang them up, basically. You know, sometimes they go on their last runs, and when they fought for the belt before, been, you know, contenders and then gone on a losing streak, sometimes it's just what needs to happen is they retire. So there's a couple guys in the fights this weekend, one at least that I'll talk about that needs a win. Otherwise, it might be that time to start thinking about when the end's gonna be. But anyway, Nikita Krylov versus Ryan Spann. You know, this was canceled the last time they were supposed to fight a couple weeks ago because Krylov got sick with food poisoning. So they canceled it at the beginning of the main card, which is insane because they were the main event. So anyway, they rescheduled it quickly, you know, because food poisoning, you can get over that fairly quick. But, you know, being in the midst of it that night, obviously, is not a good time to fight. You don't want to be shitting in the cage or puking in the cage. or getting knocked out because you feel like shit. So anyway, he got the sub on Ryan Spann, as you can see here. Another triangle, but this one straight up normal regular triangle. And yeah, Spann tapped kind of quick. I didn't get to see this whole fight, but I'm not sure like how much damage he was taking or what was going on in the fight ahead of time, but it looked like he kind of just tapped quickly. But that triangle was deep and he had the arm trapped. So, you know, when you know you're done, I guess you know you're done, and Spann wasn't having it. So he was done with that. Moving on to Alexander Volkov versus Alexander Romanov. Two guys with similar names, kind of crazy. Romanov's the guy on the ground getting beat right now that I was telling you about, that was throwing big-ass dudes around like they were nothing. But, you know, Volkov is a beast, and he's a badass, and he got the win. You know, TKO just kind of dominated and just suffocated Romanov, and there was nothing he could do. Obviously, he's not really doing much to defend himself, and not really doing much to get out of the, you know, getting his ass whooped like that with Volkov on his back. So yeah, that was about it for that. Before we move on, there was a couple of other fights I wanted to mention. Let's see, on the lower, all the way at the bottom, there was Ariane Lipski versus JJ Aldrich. I had talked about that fight last week. Lipski got the win, unanimous decision. There was one other fight. No, that was Rafael Sunsao, Davey Grant. No, I guess that was it. Okay, cool. I knew there was one other fight I wanted to talk about. I meant to talk about it before we got into the rest of this, but that's fine. It was just Ariane Lipski and JJ Aldrich. I was interested in that fight. I didn't get to watch it, and I forgot to even go back and check it out. But anyway, moving on to the main event of this card, Petr Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili, which I told you Yan was doing some dumb shit. This looks like kind of harmless in a still frame photo, but what happened here was they were just facing off, and I guess Merab was, you know, talking or whatever, and Yan just did this weird karate chop to his neck. I don't know what the fuck he was trying to accomplish with it, but it was pretty stupid. And, you know, like I said, Merab isn't gonna be... So this was kind of a grudge match because Merab is from he's a Georgian from Georgia, the country, not the state. That's why he's got the headdress on and stuff. And then Petr Yan is Russian. So there's some kind of, you know, historic like stuff between those two countries. So Merab like kind of took this personally, and I know that he was just telling Petr Yan that pretty much he was going to do his people right and get revenge, and it was all for his country and his people and all this other stuff. I don't know if Petr Yan even understood what he was saying, but he took offense and decided to do this weird fucking karate chop bullshit. So I don't know what the hell that was about. Merab just, you know, kind of jumped back and was like laughing and stuff, like, yeah, okay. But yeah, that's what I meant by the fact that Petr Yan is just doing dumb shit. But Merab just dominated the whole fight. Yan was trying to, you know, throw kicks and try to get in with strikes, and Merab just wasn't having it. Merab's catching kicks and throwing him and all kinds of other stuff, taking his back. If you look here, from what I understand, is possibly Jan's eye is that swollen because it was already swollen from a punch or two, and then they collided heads at one point in time. I never actually saw that happen, but that's just what I heard. But, you know, whatever. His eye was fucked up. That's all I know. And you can see how swollen it is here. By the end of the fight, it was pretty much swollen shut. So he's lucky it didn't swell shut during the fight, because they would have called the fight for that. But yeah, Merab was showing striking. It was, you know, he had Yan just wondering what the hell was happening when it came to his strikes. Because, you know, I think Yan just thought he was going to have to defend the takedowns. There's 44 takedown attempts by Merab, and I think he successfully took Jan down like 11 or 12 times, which is insane. I mean, that doesn't sound like a good percentage, but to even attempt 44 takedowns is insane. And he actually beat a record with the attempted takedowns, so it's kind of crazy. So yeah, in the end though, Merab got the win, like I said, unanimous decision. It was, I mean, I don't think Jan won a round whatsoever. I don't even think he won one round. It wasn't even a question. As you can see, Merab was even having some fun with it. I don't know why, but he's tapping his ass and grabbing his ass. I think it was just one of those things where he's like, yeah, go ahead, little man. You're not going to get anywhere with this. I just thought it was hilarious. I saw when it happened during the fight. I was actually out to dinner, and I'm eating dinner, watching it on my phone, and I'm like, why is he grabbing his ass? Merab's a funny dude. Like, this was kind of unexpected though. Like, I didn't think he would do something like this. I'm not sure why he was doing it. Like I said, just speculating that he's like, yeah, good job, little guy, but you're not doing anything. Why he grabbed his ass, I don't know. Maybe he was thinking about tossing him or something. I don't know. I think he's just fucking around. But I thought it was hilarious. So it was the icing on the cake with Merab already kicking his ass, and now he's humiliating him by, spanking him and grabbing his ass. Kind of funny, kind of weird, entertaining, nevertheless. So good on Merab for getting that win though. Now the only problem is that he's in the same division as Aljamain Sterling, and I talked about this before. So he just beat the number 2 contender in the number 2 guy in that division. The only guy ahead of either one of them, I believe, is I guess now it's Henry Cejudo. I don't know. That's the thing. Henry Cejudo's coming back. He's out of retirement, and it's already booked for May, I believe. Was it May? April. May. Fuck, I don't remember. Either way, it's already booked. Henry Cejudo is fighting for the belt against Aljamain Sterling, which is, I mean, that could be a good fight. That could be interesting for sure. But I mean, I think it's Cejudo comes back and just automatically gets the goddamn, and automatically gets the title fight. I mean, I get it. He held the belt for so long. Yeah, it's May 6th. So UFC 288, Cejudo versus Sterling. With the lightweight co-main event, Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush. So that's a pretty good start to that card. We'll see what other kind of. They only have one other fight on there, being Bryce Mitchell and someone else. I forgot who it was. But yeah. So if Aljamain Sterling beats Cejudo, is he gonna fight? Is he gonna fight? Who was the other person else? Sugar Sean O'Malley, who beat Petr Yan as well. Not as dominating of a win as Merab beat Yan, but he did beat Yan. So there's Sugar Sean in the mix. There's whether Aljamain beats Cejudo. And then what's Merab gonna do? Merab says he's not fighting Aljamain. Aljamain says just call for the belt, I'll move up. So we'll see what happens with this next fight in May. And then that's gonna tell the story of what might happen. Because I think if Eljo loses, he might stick around and see what happens with Merab and see if Merab wins the fight or wins the belt or not. And then I think Eljo will decide whether he's gonna move up or stay in that division. So it's interesting dynamics. There's stuff like this happened back in the day, but I don't think anybody was as good of friends as Merab and Eljo. Well, except for maybe Kane and DC, because Kane, heavyweight title holder, and DC was coming up in heavyweight division, and then he decided to cut down to light heavy and fight there and get the belt there so that he never had to fight Kane, which worked out for him. He was a champ 2 times over. But, it was one of those situations. So, and then there was like John Jones and Rashad Evans. They weren't that close though to begin with, so that's just how it was. So it's happened before, and you know, I'm sure it'll happen again at some point. It's always an interesting situation. So moving on to this weekend, we got Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman, part 3, the trilogy. They're 1-1, and obviously Usman won the first fight, and Edwards won the second fight, which you know, he was losing that entire fight until that 5th round when he got a fire lit under his ass and decided to, you know, get in the game, which I'm happy about, because I you know, I like Leon. I like Kamaru too, but I do like Leon, and I was happy to see him get that belt. But you know, there's always that question, the shit talk. People have a lot to say when you win a belt that way, when you're losing every minute of every round. Although, you know, Leon did win the first round, first guy to ever take down Kamaru, and he actually mounted him and looked pretty strong. But yeah, I mean, the fight was not going his way whatsoever. So yeah, we're gonna see how this one goes, and I'll talk a little more about it here when we get to that fight. But we got Justin Gaethje versus Fiziev, or Fiziev. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's Fiziev, but it looks like Fiziev. So either way, just, you know, these goddamn names. If you look at Justin Gaethje's name, if you just look at it, how the fuck do you say that, right? Like, you wouldn't think it's Gaethje, but that's how you say it. So anyway, Gaethje's an Arizona boy. I believe he was born in, maybe not raised, but definitely born in Arizona, and spent part of his life here. So I think he's like from Safford or something like that. So anyway, he's definitely one of my favorite fighters. He's exciting as hell, never involved in a boring fight. He's a cool guy, and he's part of the Trevor Whitman team, along with Kamaru Usman and like Thug Rose. That's what made me like him so much. Like, between his crazy fights and his just willingness to go in there and put it all on the line, and then the way he reacted to Rose Namajunas winning the belt, he was so just overwhelmed with emotion, and you can see how much he cared and how much it mattered to him. And I thought that was really cool. So I gained a lot of respect for Gaethje for that reason. So, anyway, lower in the card, we got an interesting fight to actually get the entire night started off. The first fight on the early prelims, Juliana Miller versus Veronica Macedo. I'm not sure how to say it, but it's actually Hardy. So Veronica Macedo, maybe that's what it is. She is actually the wife, or the new wife, or the fiance. I'm not sure which one. Maybe she's a fiance. I just heard it earlier. Damn it. I don't know why I don't remember. But either way, she is dating, or the spouse of Dan Hardy. Who gives a shit, right? But yeah, if you remember Dan Hardy back in the day, the crazy red mohawk from the UK, crazy guy, wound up with some kind of, I believe, heart condition or something, and that's what made him retire. And he was in the talks for a comeback, and there's been some controversy with him, but he was a good dude, and he was an analyst for a while and a commentator. Now he's doing stuff with DAZN, MMA stuff with the PFL, all kinds of shit. But either way, and he's helping his new girlfriend or wife, whatever she is, fiance, I don't know, I can't remember. Either way, she's fighting Juliana Miller, who is the last Ultimate Fighter champion, and you know, she's just been on a good win streak. Like, she has pretty much oh man, yeah, she's been on a good win streak. I'm sorry, I got caught up just trying to get all this shit together here. I'm trying to see. Would have helped if I would have opened this beforehand. She's 3-1. So her last fight, she won by TKO. She was in Invicta before this. That's where her one loss is from. And then she had the fights on the Ultimate Fighter where she got all the way through and won the title of the Ultimate Fighter. So that was cool. And yeah, I mean, I like her. I think she's kind of weird. She's kind of crazy, but she's a good fighter. And I think with that Ultimate Fighter title under her, she's looking to, you know, try to get a real title under her belt. So I'm looking forward to that one. Let's see. Jai Herbert and Ludovic Klein, I think that's how you say his name. Jai Herbert's one of those guys that everyone's big on right now. 9-1, 4 first round finishes. Yeah, a lot of people got a lot of hype on him, so that's a good one to look out for. Joanne Wood, formerly Joanne Calderwood, but now she's with John Wood, so she dropped the Calder and now it's just Wood. That's interesting and weird and kind of crazy to talk about, but she's been around for a while. She's a really sweet person. She's a cool chick, and her voice is crazy how soft her voice is. She's a good fighter, but she just can't seem to get it together, unfortunately. I hate to say that, because yeah, it's just one of those things where she just can't seem to put enough wins together to make a run. So she's coming off 3 losses. The last loss being the new champ, though. So I mean, you can't. She's got big names. All of them are big names. Alexa Grasso, Talia Santos, Lauren Murphy, all losses in her past 3 fights. And then she had a win against Jessica Ai, but then lost to Jennifer Maia. A win against Andrea Lee, but then a loss against Caitlin Chikagian. So this is what I'm talking about. It's like win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, loss, loss. So she just can't put it together, and it sucks because I like her. I think she's a great fighter, and I think that she has potential, but she just can't seem to get it down. So her opponent is Luana Carolina. She's 8-3. She's coming off a loss to Molly McCann, which was, I believe, that spinning back fist that Molly McCann threw. Yeah, spinning back elbow, my bad. So that was a crazy knockout. She has a win over Lupi Godinez, though, so that's good. And Poliana Botello. She lost to Ariane Lipsky, but so did Joanne Calderwood. So, anyway, yeah, that's her opponent. I'm looking forward to that fight. I'm hoping Joanne Wood gets a win, because if she doesn't, then she's looking at possibly getting cut, because that would put 4 wins in a row, and that's never good. She's lucky she's still around with three losses in a row. Did I say wins? I meant losses. Anyway, moving on, we got Jake Hadley versus Malcolm Gordon. Christian Leroy Duncan versus Dusko Turo. Fuck if I know how to say his name. Lerone Murphy versus Gabriel Santos. Then we get to the prelims. Mohamed Mokaev versus Rafael Filio, which that should be a damn good fight. Mokaev has been on a tear. 2 wins by knockout, 5 wins by submission, 3 first round finishes. So he's 9-0 undefeated. Obviously, that's a tear for sure. But yeah, Rafael Filio, 14-2. Yeah, I mean, it's looking like he's got some good striking. Yeah, anyway, I don't know too much about him, but I do know Mokaev is one of those guys that everyone talks about, and yeah, now don't start glitching up on me. Okay, Sam Patterson versus Yanel Ashmos. I'm not sure too much on those guys. Oh, Jack Shore versus Makwan Amirkhani. So this should be a good fight. Jack Shore's been on the come up. 4 wins by knockout, 8 wins by submission, 6 first round finishes. He's 16-1. So, and he's fighting Makwan Amirkhani, which, so this guy's one of those guys too that is constantly like wins, loss. You know, he can never put it together to get himself in contention. So that's unfortunate. But I'm looking forward to that fight. It's the main fight on the prelims, so it's right before the main event on the pay-per-view. So that's always a good fight. Jack Shore's the favorite, minus 490 over plus 3. I mean, yeah, plus 390 for Makwan Americani. I don't know why I keep saying American, but either way, I'm looking forward to that fight. So let's move on to the main card. We got Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. And Vettori is another guy who was on a streak looking like he's going to fight for a title and then just shit the bed, basically. Started losing. But he's got losses against big names. You know, he lost against Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker. He's got a win against Paulo Costa. Like I said, he was on a tear. 5 fight win streak until he met Adesanya for the belt and he lost. And then he beat Paulo Costa and then he lost to Robert Whittaker. So his last fight was September last year. And yeah, he's coming off that loss. So let's see how he does against Roman Dolidze. He's 12-1. Coming off, oh shit, he's on a 4-fight win streak right now. Jack Hermanson, Phil Haas, Kyle Dawkins, and I don't know who that guy is. Loriana Strapoli. Oh, okay. Yeah, so 4-fight win streak. One loss before that, and then he had two wins before. So yeah, he's only got one loss on his record to Trevin Giles. So yeah, this should be a good fight to start it off. Dolidze and Vettori have good striking, and that usually means a good fight. You know, they're gonna fill each other out for a minute, and they're gonna go after it. So I'm looking forward to that one. Again, like I said, Vettori's got good power in his punches and good striking all around. He looks crazy with a shaved head though. I don't remember if I don't think that's how his hair is now, but with it shaved, it's a little odd. Anyway, yeah, you got to watch out for his striking, but Dolidze has striking of his own. This was against Phil Haas, and yeah, as you can see, knocked him out cold. Heavy hands, solid punches, solid strikes, and yeah, just stood there over him because he knew what the hell was up then. Phil Haas looks like he's trying to be what's his face from back in the day with the blonde hair. Oh shit, I forgot his name. Anyway, yeah, moving on. We have Jennifer Maia versus Casey O'Neill. Jennifer Maia. Every time I see Maia, I think of Damian Maia. I don't think there's any relation though. She's 20-9. Coming off a win over Marina Moroz. Before that, she was on a 2-fight losing streak, though. Again, back and forth with the wins and losses. Damn. But she's fought some big names, and you know, I'm assuming a lot of decisions. It's either oh my god, it's almost all decisions except for one submission. So I'm thinking if Casey O'Neill keeps it off the ground, she should be good to go. Submission against Joanne Wood. So Jennifer Maia's only win not by decision. So if you're looking to bet, you might want to bet on Jennifer Maia by decision, because apparently that's how she wins all of her damn fights. But Casey O'Neill is undefeated, 9-0. She has 4 fights in the UFC, so she's 4-0 in the UFC against pretty decent names: Roxanne Modafferi, Antonina Shevchenko, Shayna Dobson. So yeah, she's looking like she's definitely there to get that win. Decision, TKO, submission, TKO. So she's gonna get a finish, I believe, because her against Roxanne Modafferi, it's hard to get a finish against Roxanne Modafferi. So, you know, again, looking to bet, I'm thinking now that I see this, I'm gonna say probably Casey O'Neill by a finish, not going the distance. That's what I would bet on. So that's it for that. Oh, like I said, Maia's got the subs though. Look at this pretty nasty armbar against Joanne Calderwood, or Wood now. So yeah, unfortunate. And then Casey O'Neill, she likes to throw punches, and she likes to throw a barrage of punches. So she's gonna get on top in that dominant position and rain down those punches. And this is against Valentina Shevchenko's sister. So, you know, she's got some talent. She's no Valentina, but, you know, Casey O'Neill got the best of her there. Moving on, we got Gunnar Nelson versus Bryan Barbarena. I'm pretty excited about this fight because Gunnar Nelson hasn't fought in a while. Let's see. His last fight was March of last year. It's been exactly a year pretty much that he's fought. And he fought Takashi Sato, and he got the win by unanimous decision. Before that, he was on a little bit of a skid. He had two losses, one being Gilbert Burns, no fucking joke there, and then Leon Edwards, who is the current champion. So you can't really blame him. He got a win before that against Alex Oliveira, which is the Brazilian cowboy. Man, this dude has fought nothing but names. Ponzinibbio, loss. Alan Juban, win. Albert Tumanov, win. Damian Maia, loss. Brandon Thatch, win. Rick Story, loss. Zach Cummings, win. Like, damn, everybody. Just a bunch of big names. Anyway, it's nice to see Gunny back. I'm happy. It's been a while. Like I said, it's been a year. And before that, he fights so infrequently. He hadn't fought since 2019 before that. So he had a couple years off. Almost 3 years off. And then he came back last March, and now he's been off for a year again. So it's good to see him back. We'll see what he's got for Bryan Barbarena. Bryan Barbarena's 18-9. Coming off a loss to Rafael dos Anjos, though. So, I mean, that was in December of last year. RDA's no joke. He's not the same RDA from back in the day, but Barbarena is not good with the grappling and wrestling. He's a striker. He likes, and he got submitted by a neck crank, so that, I mean, that's just nasty. RDA's good at submissions, so you can't really blame him. He's got a win against Robbie Lawler, which is unfortunate because I like Robbie. But yeah, I think it was like a standing TKO, just punched the shit out of him. And then he's got a win against Matt Brown and Darian Weeks. So he was on a 3-fight win streak before he met RDA. But Gunnar's going to be coming for him. Testing out that chin, getting through that beard, because this is the kind of stuff that Gunnar Nelson likes to do. And then when he drops you, he's gonna wrestle your ass or grapple, and he's gonna try to submit you as well. So he can do a little bit of everything. He's dangerous. You never know where he's gonna take it, and obviously he's got heavy hands. So if Bryan Barbarena thinks he's gonna stand and bang with him and get the best of him, he might want to watch out on that one. But here's Bryan Barbarena. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. There it is. There's Bryan Barbarena, unfortunately, against Robbie Lawler, which I hate seeing my dude get beat up like that. But yeah, I mean, you can't deny a good win over a legend. So Bryan Barbarena getting that win by TKO. You know, when he starts getting those punches in and landing them, he doesn't stop. So he's gonna drop of being tired himself. Moving on. Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. I don't know what the fuck. I'm having trouble. Fiziev or Fiziev, either which way. I'm excited for this fight. I think it's going to be a banger. The only problem is Justin Gaethje is just one of those guys that likes to get in a war, and he just wings punches out there, and he leaves his chin open. So he takes a lot of damage. He takes a lot of hits. And Fiziev doesn't fuck around. He's really fast. He's got great hands. He's well-rounded. But his biggest thing is he's really fast. And Gaethje likes to throw those big looping punches. Just crazy and out of control. A lot of times he lands. And when he lands, he fucks people up. But I'm worried that Fiziev is not gonna fight like a brawler. He's gonna fight more technical, and that technique along with that speed, it's a dangerous combination for somebody like Gaethje. But Gaethje has a damn good gas tank when it comes to cardio, and on top of that, he's got a great chin. So it's gonna be tough, but I think it's gonna be a great fight. And just to show, unfortunately against Tony Ferguson, I mean, he kind of changed Tony Ferguson with the beating he put on him. So he does punch hard, like I said, and he lands a lot. And when he throws a punch, he throws everything behind that punch, as you can see by this. But look how he leaves his head open as he's leaning down. If Tony Ferguson wasn't so out of it, I mean, he could throw that right kick to the head, kind of, you know, Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman style. He could follow up with that, like a right uppercut, which looks like what he was trying to do until he got hit. But you know, anybody that fights Gaethje that is gonna be in his right state of mind, he's gonna pick up on those things, and Gaethje leaves himself open all the time. So unfortunately for him, that's something he needs to watch out for. But you know, more with the crazy strikes. This is against Michael Chandler. Nasty uppercut, drops him and jumps right on top of him and starts throwing bombs. So, you know, this was an exciting fight too, against Michael Chandler, who's going to be fighting Conor McGregor next. And also, oh shit, I just pushed the same button. Fiziev has these crazy strikes as well. Spinning back kick, or spinning wheel kick. I mean, he didn't knock him out, but it was basically a TKO, because he had nothing for him after that. And as you can see, Herb Dean comes running in because that fight was done. And Fiziev also has those hands. Crazy knockout. You know, he's going to put those combinations together, that speed and that strength and that technique, you know, tight hard punches, and he's accurate. So with Gaethje winging those punches, Gaethje's going to be back here trying to throw that crazy, you know, looping punch, and Fiziev's going to throw about 3 quick hard punches before Gaethje gets that one to land. That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. Gaethje's got to tighten it up a bit. You know, he tried a while back to stop getting into the crazy wars and just throwing everything out there, and tried to slow it down a bit and get some technique in there. But I think he reverted back, and I'm not sure which Gaethje's going to come out this time. But, you know, if he comes out knowing that he needs to have a little more technique and be a little more tight and keep his hands up, I think he has a better chance at winning. But Fiziev's going to stick to his game plan, do what he does, and keep that technique, keep those tight punches, and, you know, let the speed win. So I'm rooting for Gaethje, but it's tough. I wouldn't bet on this one for myself, because it's one of those ones that could go either way. Moving on to the main event. Leon Rocky Edwards versus Kamaru Usman. This is tough, because here's the thing. Like, this is something that I mentioned earlier, you know. Well, I was watching the press conference, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, as I'm listening and watching all the comments, all I can think is, you know, there's a lot that can happen with this, and it could go. There's a lot of different things that can happen that can make this fight change. So, you know, how many times have we seen someone hold the belt for a while and get beat out of nowhere, and it's called a fluke, but the ex-champ can't come back and redeem the belt? How many times have we seen that happen, right? And the other thing, you know, on the flip side, like, did Leon let that kick get to his head? Like, does he think now that he's untouchable? Does he realize that he lost rounds 2, 3, and 4 in a dominant way? Like, There was no doubt about it. He didn't do shit. Like that first round, you can give him that first round. Like I said, he took down Kamaru. Nobody's ever done that before. And he mounted him, of all things. Like, he didn't just take him down and let him get right back up. He took him down and mounted him and rained some punches down. You know, I mean, that was the first for Kamaru. But what did Kamaru do? He went and sat in his corner and he decided, hey, that's the first time that's ever happened to me, but I ain't going to let that be what takes me out. So he got up and he won the next fucking 3 rounds without question. No question. He picked apart and he broke Leon Edwards. But Leon didn't give up, though. That's the thing. So, my questions are, you know, was it a fluke? Did it go to Leon's head? Is he kidding himself thinking that, you know, he's just going to come back and do it again? Has he done enough to improve on the things that he was lacking on when it came to all of those rounds that he lost? You know, 2, 3, and 4, he looked defeated walking to his corner after that 4th round. His coaches had to give him a pep talk and tell him, which is one of the greatest fucking pep talks I've seen in a long time. I mean, you can make a movie about that shit. I mean, I know it sounds cliche and stupid, but it's legit, like, the best thing I've seen in a long time. When a coach comes in there and tells him, stop fucking feeling sorry for yourself. You're letting him bully you. You're not doing anything. You're just fucking complacent with your loss. Like, you can't do that. For his coach to come in there and slap some fucking sense into him, and the way that he did was amazing. And especially when you see the outcome. You know, he got up off that stool and something changed in him, and a light went off. So, I mean, you can't deny that. Like, that's just movie shit, like I said. But on the flip side, you know, with Kamaru, like, has Usman overcome the mental aspect of recovering properly from that KO? Meaning, is it in his head? Like, is he going to be thinking about that? Does he know that that can happen again? Does he know what he did wrong to allow that to happen? Is he going to be overly focused on that happening again? And then that's going to make him, you know, that's going to make him weary of engaging. And maybe he's going to be so timid that he loses because he doesn't do what he normally does, right? So, in my opinion, any of these things can happen. Also, is he taking Leon lightly? Like, does he think that, oh, I beat this motherfucker, I broke him? It took his coaches talking to him and hyping him up in order for him to get back in there because I had him beat going into round 5. So does he take that lightly, thinking, oh, I just got caught? You know, that's the famous thing to say, I just got caught. Well, yeah, you got caught and you got beat, motherfucker. You were out cold, eyes open, but out cold on the mat. I'm not saying shit about that if I get caught like that. I'm saying I fucked up. I was out. Am I going to let that happen again? I'm going to say all day I'm not going to let that happen again. But what did you really do to prepare? What did you really do, Kamaru? Are you going to come in there fucking Mr. Badass thinking, oh, this belt's mine, it's going to be mine again, and get your ass knocked out again? Or are you going to come in there being so timid that you don't do shit and you make this a boring ass fight because Leon might be thinking, I don't want to lose my belt? You know, there's so many things that can happen. But in my opinion, there's a big possibility that Kamaru is underestimating Leon with everything that he said, thinking, I already beat this guy, I broke him in there, and all it would have taken was one more minute for me to finish with him knowing how horrible of a fighter he was against me. And instead, I got caught. Well, keep thinking that, Kamaru, because you're going to get caught again with that kind of an attitude. You got to come in there thinking, this motherfucker beat me, I'm going to do everything in my power to beat him, regardless of how I got beat, regardless of how much I was doing. So, for me, I think Kamaru needs to be cautious. He needs to understand what happened to him, and he needs to make sure that he's dealt with that and make sure that he knows that that can happen again. And instead of being overly cautious or being overly reckless. He needs to have a good balance of all that, fight his fight, be technical and be defensive, but also put up enough offense to get that win. As far as Leon goes, I feel like he needs to not think that that one kick is the end all be all and that it's going to happen again and again and again, because he was getting beat. He was already beaten coming out of that 4th round, and he just needs to fucking get his shit together. And I hope that he's worked on everything that he needed to work on that he got beat by Kamaru with in the previous fight and the fight before that. So if he comes out there a better man, a better wrestler, a better grappler, a better fucking offensive fighter, a better defensive fighter, and he's ready for anything Kamaru's going to throw at him, then I think he has a good chance of winning again. A lot of times when a long-standing champ loses his belt in such a fashion like Kamaru lost it, you know, look at Ronda Rousey. She got head kicked, knocked the fuck out too by Holly Holm. She was never the same. Is Kamaru going to be the same? I don't know. Only time will tell, right? We're going to find out on Saturday. But is he going to be the same, or is he going to be one of those injured deers that always runs with a limp because they just don't know how to get past it, right? I don't know. No one's ever going to tell you that ahead of time. You're only going to find out the night of the fight. So I kind of am rooting for Leon to retain that belt, but knowing what happened in the last fight, there's just too many questions, too many unanswered questions. So I hope that we come out of the next fight with nothing but complete understanding of what happened. Not such a shock. I mean, the scene for that fight when Leon beat Kamaru the way he did, insane, amazing, feel good story, great. But it doesn't hold up well because everyone knows how the 3 rounds before that went about. Kamaru was less than a minute away from getting that win and looking more dominant than he ever has, and then he got caught. So yeah, but Usman has those takedowns. He has that wrestling, that world-class wrestling and grappling, and he does this to people. He finds a way to get people down over and over and over again. He's strong, he's technical, and he's relentless. But he also has power in his hands, and he's gotten better with it. Look what he did to Gaethje, and obviously Jorge Masvidal is not at the level of a lot of these other guys anymore. But for him to knock out Gaethje like that, who's never been knocked out like that, just insane. That was a nasty, nasty knockout. And he's had a few others that way too. But Leon had the kick heard around the world. Headshot, bang, dead, done. Eyes open, laying on the mat. You can't get any better than that. It was so insane to watch in real time. It's so insane to watch the replay. Just the effortless kick that just knocked out Kamaru clean. He had that right feint. Kamaru just dipped his head and got caught. Here's a nice slow-mo for you. Bam! That's the cleanest kick. Kamaru didn't even get his hand in there. It was just a clean shin across the face, across the chin, across the neck. Done. Will we see it again on Saturday? I don't know, man. I don't know if Kamaru's going to open himself up to that again. I don't know if he's going to take the chance to even allow for that to be a possibility. But for me, I'm just excited to watch the fight again. I like both these guys. I think Kamaru has gotten a bit out of hand with some of his antics, being the champ and being at the level that he's at, but I still respect him. I still like him, and I think he's a great fighter, but I just don't know how he's going to come back from such a devastating loss and fight the exact same guy in his home turf in London. A lot of people were saying that Kamaru was affected by the high altitude in Salt Lake. That's where this fight took place. I don't know. Maybe. How's he going to be in London when he's getting booed? And, when everyone's against him, rooting for the hometown guy? Is he going to overcome that? Is he going to let that get to his mental state and allow for, doubt to be in his head on top of the doubt of whether or not he's going to be afraid to get kicked like this again? And how much did it affect him? How long did it take him to get past it? Is he truly over it? I don't know. So, for me, I'm going for Leon. I would love to see Leon win again. I just think he's a really, really good, down-to-earth, humble guy. And I appreciate him as a person and as a fighter. And the things he went through to even get to the belt are by far, like, he was well overdue for a title fight. So, for him to stay in there and stay the course, he had that one no contest against Bilal Muhammad for the eye poke. It was accidental. Besides that, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 9 fight win streak, including, the last win against Kamaru. So, before, he's had very few losses. He's fought a lot of big names. He deserves it all. A lot of people say, that it's easy to catch him because of how Diaz caught him in the last round of their fight. But either way, Leon came back, overcame all the adversity in the last fight against Kamaru, and came back to win. So, you can't count him out even when he's down. So, I'm excited for this, man. I'm so excited for this. That's why I was able to just go on and on and on about it, because I'm pretty excited to watch this. Unfortunately, I'm going to be walking around in Vegas. Maybe I'll find somewhere cool to sit and watch at least just this fight. No, the last 2 fights, I have to sit down and watch them. I'm sure my wife will understand. She knows how I am with this stuff. She supports me with the show and everything else, and I love her for it. So I know, and she's interested in the fights too. Not as much as me, obviously, but that's how it goes. So yeah, that's it, man. My long-winded rant about Usman and Edwards. I know I went a little long on that, but I felt it, and I like them both, like I said, and I'm really interested in that fight, and I had a lot to say about it. So there it is, broken down and done. So yeah, if you're still here, I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in, anybody that did. Trent, thank you so much for the reassurance that everything looks good. I always need that. Chat was pretty quiet this time, but it's okay. I hope I don't get any copyrights on me, because it happened last time. If you can't find the video from last week, I gave up on even trying, because I over and over and over again, I trimmed what they told me to trim out and continuously got stuck with something. So I don't know why. I try to not use anything that shouldn't be used. I try to make sure I go the right route with all this stuff, but sometimes the UFC just doesn't like to let shit go, I guess. Because every time I've been copyrighted, it's been from the UFC. So I love the organization, but goddamn, chill out. A 25-second fucking clip isn't gonna kill your business, I promise. So anyway, yeah, thanks for tuning in. Join me again next week on Thursday, same time, 7 p.m. I'll be going over the fights, hopefully talking about, how good they were, because I anticipate them being very good. I'll be back from my well-deserved vacation. Yeah, and besides that, check out the Rumble podcast as well, Sundays and Tuesdays on the Rumble podcast YouTube channel, or go to therumblepodcast.com. and it'll take you straight to our channel, and you can watch that. We're back to 7 p.m. everywhere right now. Well, 7 p.m. Arizona time, but it's an hour earlier either way. But yeah, Tuesdays and Sundays and Tuesdays. Sundays we do our draft. Check that out. It's always interesting. We did our most hated celebrities this past Sunday. Was that it? I don't remember. Did we do another one after that? No, I think that was the one we did. Either way, that was interesting. That was fun. If you want to hear me go on a rant about the celebrities I hate the most, go watch that shit. That was from this past Sunday. It was hilarious. I don't think the guys had as much passion for the hate that I had, but that's all right. Yeah, we need to come up with a new draft for this week coming up. So I think I need to think about that a little bit. I haven't heard or seen any ideas yet, guys. So let's get that shit going. Yeah, but that's about it. Enjoy the fights. I'm gonna have a good weekend. I'm gonna have a good vacation. I need it. My wife needs it, and it's her birthday, so she gets to celebrate. It's all about her. I love it. I can't wait. And yeah, thanks again, everybody. Tune in again next week and enjoy the fucking fights, man. Uh, take it easy. I'm out. Oh shit. Yep, I'm out. All right. Peace.